Hi, I'm Brianna Niemoller, and I'm proposing ReBend, an online thrifting experience. My group was tasked with handling waste reduction at Notre Dame. We decided to break it all up into 4 categories of being green: reduce, reuse, recycle, and refuse. From there, we added the various kinds of waste and how they are produced on campus. I decided to focus on reducing clothing waste by hopefully reusing or recycling unwanted clothes. I began my process with some initial interviews. First, I talked to Notre Dame students in person. Mostly I talked to male and female students in the freshman through junior class who live on campus. I found myself interviewing a lot of students here who are from South Bend, which led me to wanting to include the South Bend community. I then asked them for the information of people they know still in high school, and I proceeded to call these younger students for phone interviews. After my first round of interviews, I came away with a few major insights. Notre Dame students thrifted more in high school because they either had the time or the resources to have a quality thrifting experience. Another insight was that Notre Dame students throw away or donate the most clothes at the end of the semester. This is because they realize what they had barely worn, or they have to get rid of what they can't fit in their suitcases. A third insight was that both Notre Dame and South Bend students thrifted for price or personal style and not for the environment. Many had never heard of the terms fast fashion or clothing waste. My last major insight was that many students were frustrated by the thrifting experience because of its unreliability. It was all too common to spend a long time sorting through clothes to leave empty-handed. Therefore, this led to my first POV, which is students need a way to transfer unwanted clothes at the year's end to those who want or need them, because oftentimes too much clothing is thrown out or left for uncertain donation. I had 3 ideas in my first round of ideation. The first was an app for Notre Dame students to sell their unwanted clothes to other students, either on or off campus. The second was to open a thrift store in LaFun, filled by Notre Dame students' donated clothes, with an app feature that lets people see what is for sale beforehand. The third idea was to sell clothes donated by Notre Dame students to South Bend High School students in a pop-up thrift store. I then presented my ideas to students and received some helpful feedback. Basically, for my first app idea, the main complaint was that students said that they would not be likely to download a new, separate app to sell clothes, and that if they did not already have time to go thrifting, then they would not likely have time to sell clothes themselves. For the LaFun thrift store, the main feedback was from the people who did not thrift. They expressed that if they don't thrift now, they will probably not go to the LaFun thrift store. Lastly, for the pop-up high school thrift store, most people were concerned again with actually using it, and the Notre Dame students were upset that they would not be able to buy anything. What I gathered to be most important from the feedback was that just making thrift shops come physically closer to people does not actually significantly reduce the time and effort it takes to thrift. Also, I needed something that would include both Notre Dame and South Bend high school students. And lastly, if I wanted people to thrift more, I would need to do something to encourage them to change their behavior and attitudes or preconceptions about thrifting, because many times they were unaware of the environmental impacts of thrifting. I then changed my POV to fit my new insights to become: how might we encourage students who are unaware of the environmental and social impacts of fast fashion to consider thrifting as a means of reducing clothing consumption, when oftentimes thrifting is seen as time-consuming and uncertain. I then began a second round of ideation and came up with 2 ideas: a personal stylist thrifting experience to eliminate the hassle of thrifting, and an Instagram page that sells donated clothes while promoting educational lessons about fast fashion and clothing waste, which would help solve the problem of ignorance and the hassle of people selling clothes themselves. People were hesitant for the personal stylist because it sounded too bougie and were worried about the clothes not fitting right. However, they still did like the idea of ordering thrifted clothes for someone to choose and pick up. Both Notre Dame and the high school students really liked the Instagram page and expressed a great interest in using it. Listening to everyone's feedback, I created the Instagram account ReBend, which essentially combines my final round of ideation into one service. Let's take a look into our video to fully explain the page, its mission, and its logistics.
So here is an overview of our entire Instagram page. We have 3 permanent stories that are always available. Our first explains our mission. Our second explains our personal stylist and customized order functionality. And then our third one, to complete our educational goal, will provide a lot of insights and information about fast fashion in the clothing industry that you might not know. So, to explain our actual posts, we began with the first post that shows our mission statement and what exactly we're all about and what ReBend really is. We then have our actual items for sale. In each post, we have a model wearing the item that we have got either through a thrift store or have donated. We say the size and the price, and then we have a little reminder about the eco-friendly mission of our company. In addition to our clothing posts, we also share these fake sales that are meant to educate people about the effects of the fast fashion industry on both the environment and the people who produce these clothes. Here's another example of one of our clever sales. We're hoping that by people understanding the actual effects and what it takes to produce clothing that they wear, that they will try to change their behavior and thrift more often and more readily. So we didn't want to forget about our local South Bend students, so we decided to create this pop-up thrift store that would come to each high school on the day or the day before their football games, because each of their football games have a specific theme that oftentimes students buy clothing for just to wear for that one game. So we decided this would be a good way to give them a more sustainable option. So in conclusion, we are really hoping that this page gives students an outlet to thrift without all the time, energy, and hassle of the actual thrifting experience.
By using donated clothes from Notre Dame students, I hope that I will have a wide variety of trendier clothes that I can resell and redistribute for a low cost. In addition to the low-effort nature on the customer's end, we hope that our educational component will cause people to be more mindful of their shopping experiences. Overall, we anticipate that this page will allow students to transport clothing more easily to ultimately help reduce clothing waste. Thank you.